and gentlemen, you already know what it is. It's Afro Izakaya. I'm here, Jayhawk, with Kaiju Kent, or John Jaguar, as he's also known as. Which do you prefer?
I like them both. I like John Jaguar. It's very Philly.
It is very Philly.
It's close to my heart.
That's how you know.
I'm also the show's official Kaiju correspondent.
Kaiju correspondent John Jaguar.
John Jaguar.
John Jaguar. As you can see, we are here to talk about...
what are we here to talk about? I can't tell.
It's another Godzilla movie featuring a monkey, but it is what it is.
Really? I genuinely wouldn't be able to tell.
Now, we're here to talk about Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla X Kong, the new empire. If it was an anime, it would just be Godzilla Kong.
I think it's like Hunter x Hunter. I think like you get made fun of if you say the X.
Yeah.
I think you gotta
Godzilla Kong, the new empire.
If you say
right off the bat, we're gonna give some scores out of 10. What would you rate the movie?
I will give it a 7, and
Ooh.
and also 7's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, 7, what's wrong with it? I like a 7. I think a 7 is a comfortable movie. You can, watch when you're in the mood for it and have a good time.
Yeah. Funny, I actually also give it a 7. I realized that right before I hit record.
So it's not going to be one of those episodes where we go through each other's throats.
Yeah. It's just going to
be a bloodless episode. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, right? Everybody's like clicking off. Yeah. Like, I don't even want to see this trash. But I will... Like, my cons for it.
Yeah, let's get into some fair criticism.
Are gonna be, they're so.
And this is spoiler territory, or we say?
Oh yeah, we gave our score.
Right. Okay.
So now it's spoiler free, or it's spoilers.
Click away if you.
So if you haven't seen it yet, go see it in 4DX. I would say it's actually worth the money.
That sounds amazing.
The seats move and everything, and it's totally worth it. You don't need popcorn; it'll spill everywhere. But
they say you can practically smell Kong.
Oh, that's true. That's true. There was a tinge of a taint.
Oh no, I don't like that. I said it and I don't like it.
Also, we are sipping Tokyo Roses because we want to give our boy Godzilla his roses. And with that, we're gonna get into some cons.
Okay, let's get into some fair criticism. I thought this about the previous film, GVK, Godzilla vs. Kong, as I feel about this. I think they're a little short. I think it helps the pace be breezy, but every question I had could have been answered with a little bit more movie. Like another, and I'm not talking about a lot. I think like 5 minutes of more time to explain a thing or foreshadow a thing so it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere later. Right?
Sure, but I feel like there was also a moment where they pretty much explained everything
all at once.
Yeah, like
that's what I'm saying. Maybe if we could spread out the exposition a little bit,
gotcha.
So you don't have 5 straight minutes of being told what the movie
dialogue.
is.
Yeah,
just
and not even a dialogue; it was a monologue.
Yeah,
yeah, I could see that. One thing that it is not this movie's fault, but this movie coming off of the heels of GMO. -1.
-1. Say GMO and I'm thinking about like produce stuff.
Oh, sorry. But this was the equivalent of like, you just saw Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, and now his next movie is a buddy cop.
Yeah, it is some tonal whiplash, and I think that's actually causing some like unfair criticism to this, like because now there's a whole culture war of like -1 versus the MonsterVerse, and one is wrong and the other is right, and I don't think
that's not the case. I do agree that it's tonal whiplash.
Yeah,
but they are two separate. Like their foundations are totally different.
It's like you wouldn't compare Batman: The Brave and the Bold, the fun, bright cartoon, to the Dark Knight trilogy. Right. They're both good in their own way. One's not really better. They're trying to do different things, and I think that's totally valid.
But that's the main thing of like outside of this movie. But with this movie, one thing that I didn't like was the lack of exposition for Mothra showing up.
Right.
I was like, I was telling Laura, I was like, it would have been cool if like Mothra had an egg and like she was the only one who could pray to it or touch it or like even like do a callback and get the song going.
So it's one of those things where it's like it's definitely their responsibility to include this in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There are things in the additional media, like in the credits for Godzilla King of the Monsters, the last movie Mothra was in, you can see like news footage and newspapers of what has been happening after the film, and one of them does establish that Mothra laid an egg at some point.
Oh, but
so
you never see the egg.
You never see it. It's just if you're paying attention to the credits. This is why I'm saying it's the responsibility of a film to communicate that stuff. You shouldn't...
Yeah.
The viewer shouldn't have to be a detective.
And it's like not only do you never see the egg in the credits, you don't see the egg in this movie.
No, yeah, she's just there. Yeah, and so Mothra, I feel like that's what I was saying before, maybe like a couple minutes earlier, setting up, oh yeah, Mothra is not dead anymore because of these reasons.
Right, yeah.
I feel like this franchise, one thing that it kind of consistently missteps on is there's a lot of exposition that's not in the movie. A lot of stuff that happens in the novels or the tie-in comics and like...
Or during like the opening credits.
Yeah,
you
or
have to like be quick-eyed and it's like, I can't pause the screen because
exactly.
I'm in the movie theater.
They don't let me do that. Get kicked out. But so another point is, in case you couldn't tell, I like Godzilla's screen time, and while I totally get that this was going to be a more Kong-focused story, I could have used more screen time with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Even extend the fights in his like fight montage by like a minute each.
Yeah.
Just make his fights a little longer. If you're gonna just give him fights, make them good fights.
Also, it was very interesting to see, and I don't know if this is necessarily like a con per se, but like, where did all these Titans come from? Like before, they were like, oh, a couple like would pop up like every now and again. Now apparently there's just Titan areas. They're like active theme parks.
Yeah. Again, a thing that's addressed in these comics and books that people don't read. You know, the tie-in comic to this film leads right into Godzilla fighting that monster Scylla in Rome. There's actually a canonical explanation for why she's there, and you know how that fight starts.
Oh wow, okay.
Which I won't get into now, but yeah, they explain...
Join our Patreon.
But yeah, I think that's totally a fair criticism of the MonsterVerse. Is they explain too much of the content of the movies not in the movies.
Or wait, the content of the movie that's not in the movie?
They explain too much of the stuff, like the why of things that are happening in the movies in comics that people aren't reading.
Oh, I would...
Leaving you with questions.
But then I would say that a con to the universe is that they explain away what's happening in the movie, and it's like, bro, I don't care, like, because you're not really going to talk about it, like, you know what I mean? Like, like, okay, so where did... we don't really care where Scar and Shimo came from, because we're never going to get into it for real. Because
some people care about that a lot.
I would if this is a part where we're talking about movies versus series.
Right, yeah.
If it was a series, maybe, because maybe you get like a spinoff that goes into the lore and like we go like 1,000 years back and we see like just Kong, and that would be a great anime. But yeah, like I think
it would.
Like going back to like that monologue where she's like, "Oh, Scar was the king down under, like way back when
in Australia."
Yeah. And then,
yeah, we got the whole villain's backstory in one
fell swoop.
Yeah,
and then it's like, but then Godzilla killed it. And you know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, I'm here to say we already saw the trailer. We're here for the fight. You have us in the seats.
That's a good point you bringing up the trailer, because I have another criticism that's not really a criticism of the film. The trailers show you almost this whole movie. Like, if you keep up with the trailers, you see a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe more than you should. Like, they like some of the best parts of the film they just give you in the trailers. And I wish... It's also been a recurring problem in this universe that they kind of do that. The last couple trailers are just too much.
And it's very... I don't know. That's why for me it's like if I know I'm gonna spend the money on the movie, like Godzilla movie, I was like, I'm gonna spend. I don't even need to see the trailer, but I saw it because it looked cool.
I have no restraint.
But it's like I'm gonna see this movie. But yeah, I think they do give away too much. Kind of like when BVS, where they showed Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, and Doomsday. They one of those trailers. It was like the whole movie.
Yeah, and I was just like,
exact same thing.
I don't think that was a good idea.
Maybe it's a Warner Brothers thing.
Maybe. Anything else you didn't like?
No, because I think the next part going into the pros is going to be me disagreeing with a lot of other people's cons.
One thing I thought was interesting, and this was just me personally, I feel like they got a lot of like, I don't know if I would call this a con, but they got a lot of not so-and-so. So like the doctor, I was like, oh, that's like not Scarlett Johansson. And like the military guy, I was like, oh, that's like not Jack Black.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
And like the vet was like, that's like not Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, I could have seen Trapper played by Matthew McConaughey. I think that's cost-saving measure.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I think they keep the star power pretty low. And you notice in these movies when they do have like a big star, like
they get off.
Sam Jackson, Watanabe, Bryan Cranston, they die.
Yeah.
So
which is weird because Brian Tyree Henry, he's
getting up there. Yeah, watch out for him next.
Right.
Protect Bernie. He's getting
because Millie wasn't back.
No, she wasn't.
And they didn't even like talk about why or I guess like she's like
she's probably in high school.
Yeah, like she's doing kid stuff and like did her dad die?
No, he's alive. He's like apparently one of the heads of Monarch now. He got promoted off screen.
One thing I didn't like, speaking of Monarch, we saw like none of that.
Yeah, they were pretty minimal You know what? I don't mind that.
What?
I mean, they're important and they were mentioned. I mean, technically, almost all of the main characters were affiliated with Monarch. But, like, we didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of Monarch. We just got a whole season of television about Monarch.
Sure, but, like, introduce them. Like, even if it's, like, a cameo, like, a little, like,
okay.
because then it leads to more, I think, speculation, which we'll get into later. But, like, yeah, I would have liked to see them, because otherwise it's kind of like, that's speculation. We're not in the speculation
yet.
Well,
that's a separate segment.
But yeah, so that's it. Those are all the cons.
I think that's all fair criticism, and I'm not even about to fight about any of that.
Yeah. Pros. What did you like?
Okay. I liked the tone, and I think the tone is what a lot of people who aren't going to like this movie don't like about it. It's getting a lot of accusations of too silly, too campy, like jumping the shark. And those people need to understand the history of how goofy these movies are traditionally. And
I mean, Godzilla got way goofy. Like, the whole sliding kick.
Yeah, right?
Liu Kang
Godzilla
kick
versus
thing,
Megalon, yeah. And it's not like that was occasionally. It's not like there was one or two movies where he was a little silly. It's the bulk of the character's history he's been silly. He starts serious, then the movies get silly for a long time, and then they do a reboot and he's serious again, and then the cycle repeats. And that's fine.
Do you think that now that they have the monster universe and like Toho has reintroduced with like GMO, do you think that they're just gonna like lean into the silly?
I think that's a great way to do it because you can have your cake and eat it too that way. You can have a Godzilla for every taste, serious -1 stuff, and then pink Godzilla doing 0G Kung Fu.
But he's really
he suplexed Kong. I've never been happier in a movie theater.
Also, the sand attack.
Pocket sand.
The sand attack. I was like,
all right, we're on pros now. I love nonsense like that. I almost stood up and cheered when he suplexed Kong. That was
really cool. Also, what was really funny was Kong yelled, and like you see Godzilla like go up on a cliff, and it looks like, at least when I was watching it, it looked like he was about to like jump down to where Kong was.
Yeah.
But he actually dives in and like then swims. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense a little bit. But then it's like, if you guys are like, All right. What are distances?
There were a lot of children in the theater the second time I saw this, because I've seen this twice. And at that scene when he's in Gibraltar over on the cliff and he jumps off, there's a little kid who went, "He flies?" Like, and you could hear the awe and wonder in this child's voice. And I'm just like, that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I got into Godzilla watching the silly, goofy Showa era movies, right?
Okay.
I got into this with him basically a cooler alternative, in my opinion, to Power Rangers, where the monster was the good guy. You know, and he's getting struck by lightning on purpose to make himself magnetic to fight a giant robot.
Yeah.
Or bending over and shooting his beam down so he can fly. That's what I came to this for.
Well, on the point of awe and wonder, we're going to awe and wonder you with how we made the Tokyo Rose. We'll be back after these messages. Konnichiwa, minasan. We are here to build a drink. This is going to be the Tokyo Rose. And this is actually not a Blerd Bar original, but it's actually just a drink that we found. And we kind of tweaked a little bit because we tried it the way that we found it, and that wasn't great. But that being aside, so for that, you will need 4 ingredients to make this drink as we build it at the Blerd Bar. First up, you are going to need some lemon juice. Second, you're going to need some Midori. Third, you're going to need some vodka. And fourth, you're going to need some sake. Now, why do you need these things? Or is there a certain, do you need these particular things, I should say? So with the vodka, you're not gonna need Konpeki vodka, even though we do have that here, but you are going to want a cleaner vodka, one that really, the more like water it tastes, the better it will be. So you're thinking Grey Goose, you're thinking your upper scale, like Kettle One, like that kind of a thing. Lemon juice, whatever you need. You will need Midori, that is what it is. For your sake, you are going to need a drier sake, one that is not as sweet because we already have the sweetness here with the Midori. So you're gonna want a dry sake. Doesn't matter if it's Junmai or if it's Daiginjo. If it's Daiginjo, you have deep pockets, that's fine. But you definitely just want a dry sake. So with that being said, let's build. All right, here we go. We're about to build. Now, first up, your vodka. You're gonna need 1.5 ounce of your vodka. Next, you will need 1.5 ounce of your sake. Next, you will need 3/4 of your Midori. And finally, you will need 1/4 of your lemon juice. Then you're gonna wanna put the ice in and you're gonna wanna shake for, I would say, 15 to 30 seconds. Once you've shaken, pour out into your glass. Ooh, let's go, perfect pour. All right, let's give this a try. The Tokyo Rose. Sake comes through. The lemon actually surprisingly does come through. It chills out the Midori a lot. Vodka is shining bright. It's really a bright drink in general. It's not like a sugar heavy drink. It is a very bright drink. It is something that you will drink often and not know that it's hitting until it's hitting. But a very good drink, very good build, very bright. Definitely try this out. Let us know what you think. The Tokyo Rose. Cheers.
-1.
And we're back. I'm keeping that in.
Okay, sure.
More pros.
So one that we were definitely in agreement on is for big CGI monsters, the characters had a lot of personality.
So much personality.
Yeah, and that's really what separates a big CGI monster from a character, you know? Both the director of this film, Adam Wingard, and the director of -1, Takashi Yamazaki, have both said that they based Godzilla's mannerisms off of their cats.
Yes.
Which is noticeable in this.
It's so noticeable. In -1 it was noticeable, but it's less noticeable in -1.
Yeah, it's more subtle there, but in this one it's not subtle
in this one,
at all.
it was like, oh, did he just curl up in his cat bed?
Yeah.
That's, okay, he's a cat.
The fact that he's like hunting bugs all over the place. Like, yeah. He's a cat. He's a big cat.
He's a big cat.
There are even older like designs of Godzilla have little cat ears.
Little cat ears. And the muzzle.
Yeah,
you gotta get the muzzle with the pets.
Little teeth. He's a cat.
He's a cat, and you love it.
Yeah.
I will say what was interesting, or what makes it more interesting with him being a cat, he's obviously a big cat.
Yep.
Because Kong, if anything, was old man Kong.
So it's the low-hanging fruit, because everyone's been saying this, but he's Kratos in this movie.
Yeah.
He's like sort of graying out a little bit. He's
got the scraggly beard.
He's going in his Silver Fox era a little bit, because he's got some silver going in.
Zaddy
He's got the beard and the axe and the boy. So he's just, Kratos in the thing. And
funny
that's
thing,
great.
I didn't know that Hollow Earth had North Philly in it, because that little boy was one bus stop away from yelling, "Back door, dickhead!" Come on, he was very much a Philly
he was
youth.
a hoodlum.
He was very much what some might call
identified with
a
him.
niglet, but definitely a little monkey. But he was wild. He was
wild. I didn't
wild.
expect to like him that much because he was so out of pocket. That endeared me to him. I thought he was just going to be like a cute little, like, they sell stuffed animals in him. But no, he was a problem.
He was
and
very much a problem child.
Him. Yeah.
But it made sense when you realize where he came from, which is because we've been calling him a Philly youth this whole time.
You
for
call
the past
him a
2 minutes.
niglet.
Oh, I did. I stand by it.
There have been a lot of comments about Godzilla's racial feelings about the apes that go way out of...
He started out as a niglet, but then he becomes one of the good ones. So it's okay.
Wow! All right, that's just what we're doing tonight, huh?
Candace Owens will be on next week, but what we're
No, she won't.
Candace like, I will shut this down.
Job? Is that where she went after they kicked her off?
Afro Izakaya correspondent, most definitely. She might be your Kaiju correspondent in the field. Are you prepared for that?
I hate this whole hypothetical so much.
All right, let's get back. All right.
Talking about monsters.
Talking about... wow.
So, yeah, but all right, so the characterization on the monsters is really good. Kong... for all, the jokes about like Kratos or, child abuse or whatever, just whipping around.
He did use him as a nunchuck.
It's hilarious.
Nunchaku.
You felt real emotions for this big monkey, right?
Yeah.
Like he had a sympathetic plight, and like for all of my desires for like maybe a little bit more Godzilla screen time, I get why Kong was the main character here. It made sense. He was the focus of the narrative. He had an arc, and I think it really worked that way.
It made him, to see him really be like, oh snap, there's others.
And that's a plot thread that's been going on since his first movie in the series. That's been an ongoing story since Kong Skull Island. So exactly. His story, this whole universe, has finally come to a head, and that's cathartic to see play out.
It's really nice. It also makes me wonder about Godzilla, only because I think it was in GVK we saw that there were. I feel like they hinted towards that there were more Godzillas, and they're both the last of their kind of a thing.
Right, yeah, that's sort of the implication, is that the mythic Titan war of the past wiped out both of their species except them.
Right.
But now we know that that's not true for Kong.
Well, and I feel like we know that that's not true for Godzilla because of the monologue where they were like, "Oh, Scar was being wild," and then Godzilla was like, "Hey, shut that down."
It might have been after that.
It could have
Or might have been the war wiped out all of Godzilla's people, and as the last one left, he finally shut that down. Could have been.
That's interesting.
I don't think there's any hard confirmation that like there are more Godzillas out there. The only ones we know of are dead, unless you ascribe to the theory that Doug is like the guy who stole the little fat guy that stole Kong's food at the beginning.
Oh,
his name is Doug. Oh, do you not know about Doug?
No.
Right. So,
what?
His name is Doug, Titanus Doug, and he was
like D-U-G?
Yeah, like D-O-U-G, like the name. Like Douglas. Yeah, exactly. Dude, Quailman. Yeah.
Okay, Quailman. So Quailman stole his food.
He had like 5 seconds, maybe less, of screen time in the previous movie.
Okay.
He was just a throwaway monster character in the Hollow Earth. They did not expect the fans to fall in love with him or name him Doug, but that's what the fans decided to do. They're like, "Oh, that's Doug," and then Adam Wingard was like, "Yeah, all right, that's Doug." And now they do sell toys of him with Doug on the. That's his official name now.
That's all right,
and I love that. I'm sorry, that's insane.
That's funny. That's like when they gave Baby Yoda a name.
Yeah.
And like for a quick second, it's like, no, it's Baby Yoda because that name sucks.
Yeah.
Like Grogu sucks.
So there's some speculation because there's some physical resemblances between that guy and Godzilla that maybe that guy is like a relative.
Yeah.
But I mean, if your only living relative is Doug, then you're basically the last.
Yeah. So we are not the same.
Doug's more like a misbehaving dog. You see that look Kong had?
Yeah.
When he lost the tug of war for his food, he was just like, man, like,
I would, but
not worth it.
It's not worth it. I don't need PETA on my back. But any other pros before we get into the specs?
I like the elements of continuity they do include. Like, all of these movies, if even a little bit, are still connected to each other. Mothra returns, and that makes less sense if you're not watching all of the movies. You at least know who it is when she shows up if you've seen King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
I like, the monsters that Godzilla fights, Scylla and Tiamat, were also in King. In a weird way, for Godzilla's half of the story, it's a sequel to Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Because he's continuing to confirm, like, hey, I run this.
Yeah, exactly where that movie left off. Yeah. His storyline's continuing there. And I like that. I like that kind of continuity. I like the returning characters felt like you didn't need to introduce them anymore. We knew Dr. Andrews, we knew Geo, we knew Bernie. We didn't have to waste time meeting them again for the first time.
Dr. Andrews is the girl who cut her hair?
Yeah.
Not Scarlet? Okay. And then Bernie is Brian.
I don't see the resemblance.
It's like a weird thing she does with her face. Like, it's like between the eyes, nose, and like lips. I'm like, oh, you're like not Scarlet.
All right.
It's fine. Like, I saw it. It's fine. And Brian, we know him.
And Dan Stevens, Trapper. I've loved him. I thought he was great. He was so much fun.
But he is a new character, right?
He's a new character,
okay, because she was busting up with him like, oh, he was back in the first film. I'm like, I'd never met this man.
Yeah, they had an implied I think they said it was like in college.
Yeah,
each other.
Yeah.
But I liked him. Welcome Edition. I thought he was just fun.
I
would watch a whole show of him just being a vet.
A vet
to
for
the giant
Titans?
Yeah, I'd watch a season of that. That'd be great.
I
think it'd be fun.
I wouldn't. You know what? Unfortunately, I think I would.
Right.
But like, I wouldn't want to. Like,
I think it'd be fun.
But I think he was a fun addition to the team, as it were. Though the plot armor was like, hey, we got this metal arm.
Oh yeah, there were some absolute contrivances. Yeah, for sure.
I was like, wow, Deus Ex Machina, but okay. Speculation.
That was a fascinating pronunciation.
How do you say it?
Deus Ex Machina?
I like Ex Machina.
Yeah.
I do stand down on Deuce.
Deus
Ex Machina.
Deuces.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina. Let us know in the comments.
I'm sure they will. They're gonna let us know.
Oh, yeah.
A whole lot of things.
So speculation.
Speculation. All right. So
I will say, I don't really see where this goes from here unless your next movie is solely Kong. Because Godzilla kind of he's running everything. Nothing like we established that he like absorbs people and gets more power. He knows when to absorb people. He's like, oh, I know a fight's coming. I can feel it. Mm-hmm. Let me get my ammo together and like get ready to crush it.
So I agree that I definitely think, personally, my ideal next step would be another solo film. Mm-hmm. But I think because Kong's been more or less the star of the last two movies, even Godzilla vs. Kong, the narrative leaned more Kong. Mm-hmm. I think it's time for a Godzilla solo movie. And I think whatever we do, whether it be a solo movie or another team up, I think it's a good chance to give Godzilla that kind of long form story arc that Kong's had so far. Because it's like you said, Godzilla doesn't have any open plot threads. He's at the end of each movie, he's pretty much like, okay, this is level, this is where he's at. Whereas Kong, up until this movie, has always been left with the question of what's left next for him.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Godzilla to have that question.
He needs a Infinity Endgame.
Yeah, something, because Kong had his. I think it's time for Godzilla to have his. Now, when you say speculation, the interesting thing is we know certain things at this point, or at least
what do we know? Tell us more.
We know some comments that director Adam Wingard has said that include the fact that he would do a third movie if this goes well.
Wait, is this not the third movie?
It's not the third movie directed by him. We had Godzilla vs. Kong, that was directed by him. And then we have this one, Godzilla Kong, New Empire. And he would have it would be like the Adam Wingard trilogy. So this is his Nolan? Yeah, basically.
See, I thought this is why I thought this ended, because I thought this was the end of the Nolan trilogy.
So the interesting thing about the MonsterVerse as a whole is every movie up until this point has been directed by a different director. Guy. Adam Wingard is now the only person who's done two, let alone two back to back. And at this point, he was saying, you do two, you may as well do three. Round out a trilogy. And I'm assuming if it's a trilogy, it would be weird if it was the only one in the trilogy that was a solo movie. So I think it's more likely that it's a team up again. But he has said himself, for the next one, he'd like to put the focus on Godzilla the way he got to do it for Kong in this movie. So I think it's likely that if it does well, and we're at first week 215 million on a budget of 135 million, 135 million.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it already made the money
It's
back.
already past its production budget.
Okay.
The usual formula is budget times 2 to account for marketing, and we're already pretty close to that. Yeah. It's almost guaranteed. And so this is actually the lowest budget of any film on the MonsterVerse so far.
Huh.
And it has the biggest opening since Godzilla 2014.
The lowest budget with all that CGI?
135 million, which for a Hollywood blockbuster isn't a lot.
I know, but the ending fight scene alone, I'm like...
You'd think. It was very surprising. Yeah. But this was not crazy expensive to make, and it's so far...
In the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of... Yeah, I mean, I can't go shoot it in my backyard.
Yeah,
but, and it's making... I used to do that when I was a kid. To get my action figures together. Yeah. But it's making bank so far and fast. So a future is basically guaranteed.
I don't even if it's a Godzilla focused but Godzilla and Kong movie, maybe Space Godzilla? And you find out that Godzilla's actually an alien. It's like a whole Kakarot thing, or
Space Godzilla in the fan spaces is there's two big villains, three big villains that everyone's calling for, right? Space Godzilla, Biollante, and Destroya.
Biollante, he Did he almost lose that one? Is it either Biollante or Destroyer?
All of them are close calls in the Heisei era. They really like to go with the nail biters, but Destroyer is considered like the strongest of the Heisei era, and a lot of people are like, Destroyer should be the Thanos of this universe.
Right.
Like the MonsterVerse should end with Destroyer, and that would be pretty cool.
NANI?!
So, Destroyer.
Destroyer, yes, as the endgame villain for the MonsterVerse, I think that's a really good idea. Because I think you should sort of build to, if you're going to end, and everything has to end eventually.
Ooh.
Everything should end eventually.
Oof. So, in
MCU.
your mind... Right. Ooh. In your mind, the Destroyer, he comes in, because if we're doing the Infinity Endgame, he comes in and lays waste. But like we've seen the movie, like what was his name? Three-headed Ghidorah.
Ghidorah, yeah.
Ghidorah, he did that, but like Godzilla still like rallied at the last. That's when we found burning Godzilla.
That was in this universe.
iteration.
That's where we had the inception of burning Godzilla. So it'd be interesting to figure out a way to do that. And you know what? I think we still could, because in King of the Monsters, burning Godzilla effectively ended up a short-term power-up. I think an interesting story to tell, and maybe do this over the course of more than one movie, and this is Godzilla's arc. He's dying. Like he gets
like a star dying.
He keeps getting juiced so much in these movies. In King of the Monsters, he gets nuked and then stabilizes because of Mothra helping him. And in this one, he supercharges to a crazy degree.
But that was organic. That was like Herbalife or something. Like that was like
maybe he's getting more resilient to it, but push it to its limits and have Godzilla on a clock where he's dying, and maybe even he knows it. And that creates a panic about, all right, well, Godzilla is the linchpin to this ecosystem. And when he's gone, that's a big issue. Kong literally can't do Godzilla's job.
Right.
What are we all going to do? I don't even know the answer myself, but I'd love to watch and find out in a movie.
Those are some real stakes because, one, a dying Godzilla, where does all that energy go?
Yeah, I mean, the answer in the original Godzilla vs. Destroyer was probably melts the planet.
Right.
So we have to avoid that too.
So and I think this series or this universe is founded in enough realism that would be a true question of like, oh snap, if we have this, what is it, 200-ton megaton creature.
I think it's 90,000 tons, and the fact that I know that is something.
That's why he's our kaiju correspondent on the ones and twos.
Qualified.
But this 90,000 ton nuclear reactor about to lay waste, and like just if he's a corpse wherever if it's in his cat bed in Rome, that means Rome is now like a death spot. Like it's like now like unlivable. Yeah.
Like hell, a northern hemisphere might be going.
Right. So it's like, what does that mean? What does that look like?
I think that'd be a really cool story to tell over the course of maybe 2-3 maximum movies. Like I said, I really like this universe. That doesn't mean I want it to go on forever. I think one of the most important parts of a narrative, and all cinematic universes are single narratives, is knowing when the end should be.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time here, but I think
we don't need like
you wanna quit while
10.
you're at, yeah. No, I don't want a fast 10, right? I think the last like multi-movie story arc could be Godzilla dying. Like do like an all-star Superman. Like that was an extremely compelling narrative, and I think that would be a really interesting thing to explore here.
I don't disagree. I just wonder if they would leave like a little like, oh, but then he like pooped out the little egg.
Yeah, I'm sure we could end out
he pooped
with
out Godzuki, right? Like Godzuki comes around.
Maybe that was the answer last time too, is Godzilla Jr. ended up absorbing his, spoilers for a movie from 1995. Godzilla Jr., his son, absorbed the excess radiation, and that's why Tokyo was still habitable by the end of the Heisei era, was because his son sort of succeeded him. And that was the answer to the question, what does the world do without Godzilla? It's like, well, you got another one.
That's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how you talk. Because
Adam
let's be
Wingard,
honest.
call me. My rates are really low. I just need to not have to go to work again. I'm really not going to ask for more than that.
So just double his salary.
Yeah, just double
Or
that.
triple it.
I think you can afford to triple it, right?
Triple it. For that? For
Yeah.
that idea? You can triple it. You're going to make it back.
That's bargain bin in Hollywood,
yeah.
right?
And of course, I get like a 10%, 10% show. I mean, you're here.
We're in negotiation. Okay, we can.
You're here. You wouldn't have said
that's
that
all
on
right.
camera. You're here. I get 10%.
Yeah. 8.5, maybe.
8.5. Oh, now we know decimal. No, I think that's cool because honestly, seeing Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, I did not see. I felt like literally like this was the end for the trilogy as I thought it was.
It felt like it could have been. I feel like they deliberately make these movies so just in case it bombs and it's the last one, it's still kind of
You're
satisfying
fine.
ending.
Yeah, you're fine. Because I think introducing Shimo or Shimu?
Shimo. We didn't even talk about Shimo.
But
Big Ice Dog.
Yeah,
Lizard.
Shimo as one of the ancients. It made it almost feel like, they have like real power because they're like tied in.
There was that one point where Kong crosses that bridge in the Hollow Earth, and the bridge is made out of
something
really big
Yeah.
monster, really big. And I was like, "What was that?"
Like and really big because if you're looking at the final fight, they're all around like the same size.
Close to it, yeah.
But like that
I think
monster,
Godzilla's clocking in at like 394 feet currently.
Shimu is bigger than Godzilla, which I was very
Godzilla
surprised.
could ride Shimo like a horse.
Yeah.
Shimo was big.
I thought that was very interesting. And for all that being said, yes, the monster that was a bridge for Kong.
Yeah, the bridge titan, whatever that was.
Yeah, that's wild to think about, like what the Earth used to be like, what the Hollow Earth used to be like.
Crazy, yeah.
But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how they end this series, if they end this universe. Because what do you introduce like Gamera?
If they can get the rights to Gamera or Ultraman, I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus. I ultimately did, just indirectly. I politely went for your threat on that. If they can get the rights to Gamera, Gamera's owned. It was traditionally owned by a different company called Daiei. I don't know who has the rights now, but it's not Toho because Gamera was the Pepsi to Godzilla's Coke.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but I mean, if they can get the rights to it, there's no reason that they couldn't do it. It's all a matter of who plays
like,
ball with money, you know.
I guess the biggest thing is like, even though this is supposed to be like popcorn, like movies, right? Like you're supposed to come here and enjoy it. The thought process between thinking like, oh snap, Earth is now just like full of Titans, and we're just chill with it. Like everything's like really copacetic until like they meet each other, but they like don't meet each other often because like they have their territories. But like Godzilla's territory is like all of Earth, but he just be going around hunting people every now and again when he feel like it,
Or when they act up.
like.
It was supposed to be when they act up.
And now he's just like, nah, I need that. You got some nukes. I need that.
Tiamat, yeah, well, Tiamat had something he needed. It would have been worse if he didn't get it, like for us.
Sure.
Tiamat was acceptable. In the comics that people don't read, Tiamat is a repeat offender of like pushing back. Well, both Tiamat and Scylla, both of the monsters that Godzilla basically one-shots in this movie, in the comics, start shit. They're known troublemakers amongst the other monsters. So Scylla was in the middle of starting shit when we saw her get in the movie. Tiamat was kind of chilling at home.
Literally.
So there's a devil's advocate to that.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it, Candace.
Tiamat didn't have... What? Take it back.
So I will walk off this stage right now.
Godzilla just needed the energy at Tiamat's lair. Godzilla didn't actually attack Tiamat. Godzilla was using his breath to drill a hole in the ice to get in there. There was already a hole. He could have just gone in there.
Yeah.
He was leaving the front door so Tiamat could leave. Tiamat didn't leave. Tiamat attacked Godzilla. I'm not saying I'm not saying that, like, I'm just saying it wasn't a cold-blooded murder. Godzilla was like, I need this energy, right? You can leave. I don't care.
If I just place the drugs there, I can obviously do a no-knock. Like,
All right, well, I mean, everyone's a
are you calling Godzilla a cab?
I don't think Godzilla's a cop.
He placed the drugs. He was like, well, I'm going to let you go on the front door.
It's more like
but I'm gonna
he
let you
needed
go
the drugs, and I don't
Oh,
so Godzilla's the cartel. I don't know what... This metaphor has gotten really far away from us. Point being,
Jesus.
Tiamat didn't have to die and wouldn't have if she didn't attack Godzilla.
But he still would have needed the energy.
Yeah, she could leave. There was a front door. She could have just swam out and went away. Godzilla
So are you saying that there is energy there that he could have gotten?
Yeah, that was the whole point he was there, was to absorb the energy in her lair. He didn't need to kill Tiamat, and I don't think he was going to, unless she made him, and then she did. They said in the movie, her lair is the big receptacle of all the energy, all the pink stuff.
That's fair.
And that's why she's there. She's there because she's also attracted to that energy.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's not inherently...
You clean that up. You clean that up. He's not ACAB. He's not ACAB.
It's not even inherently her.
He's questionable because, like, that's her lair. Like, but
I'm not saying he's a saint. He's not Superman, right?
Sure, okay.
But she didn't have to die and wouldn't have if she didn't stop.
Fair enough. That's hilarious.
What were we talking
I don't know.
about? I think we're on speculation still.
Yeah. Damn. You said something that made me think about him charging up. But I forgot it, so it's fine.
Cool. Super Saiyan Rose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was confirmed that the pink Godzilla design was inspired by Kaioken.
Really?
Yeah, Adam Wingard's a big weeb and he likes anime. And yeah, and that's specifically in the movie on one of the big science screens. It says times 20 multiplier when he evolves, and it's a reference to Kaioken times 20. You know,
You be in the forums, don't you?
Yeah, too much. Like way too much.
Jeez. That's
That's
really
why
cool,
I'm the
though.
Kaiju correspondent.
That's why that is.
I'm not
why.
supposed to have a life.
This is why you call me here.
Thought this was a safe space.
No, it is. This is great. This is great. I just didn't know. That's awesome. Oh, wow.
That's a DBZ reference.
Look at that.
Rest
Afro
in-
Izakaya.
Rest
showing
in
up
peace,
everywhere.
Toriano.
Yeah. Which is actually why we did the Tokyo Rose the first time.
Oh, that's nice.
Because we gave roses to him. Yeah. That being said, this has been amazing.
It's been great. Thanks for having me. Always. It's great.
Not for nothing. I literally thought, like, with this movie, this would be the last time that you would be on, unless there's a Monarch season 2.
It's not confirmed, but it's very likely we get one late next year.
Side note. This is a true side note. Have you seen Shogun?
Not yet, but I want to. Hiroyuki Sanada is awesome, and Anna Sawai is in it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean to get to Shogun. I do.
Because I want to believe that Anna Sawai is like, oh, they just gave you a crappy script.
I hear she's good in it.
That's what I keep hearing. I keep hearing that it's good.
Yeah, so you haven't started it either. All right, let's work on that.
Is that the next thing?
That could be an episode after Izakaya. This is just general weebery.
It's all Japanese stuff that I don't get to talk about on the Blerd Bar.
Okay, cool.
So
they're like, yeah, you're a weeb. Get your own show.
yeah, get your own show. We want to talk about comics and other stuff. We want to be black. And I'm like, all right. Well.
Anime in America is very black. I brought up Dragon Ball. We could be here all day talking about the impact of Dragon Ball on black culture.
Oh, that was episode 3 or 4 of Blerd Bar.
Right.
Go check it out.
Yep.
But no, maybe Shogun will be the next time we see you.
Yeah, I want to see Shogun. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to call it a do. Thank you for watching to this moment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Real quickly, Godzilla, in these movies, he brings order to the balance of the ecosystem in the Monsterverse. And one way you could bring order to the ecosystem of people's lives are by giving blood. That was a clunky transition. At your local Red Cross. And if you do so before April 7th, will this be edited in anywhere near enough time?
April 7th?
Yeah.
Oh, this is only the... Yeah.
You get a free t-shirt featuring Godzilla and Kong And also, you should give blood anyway, because it's a good thing to do, and we should help each other. Helping people is good.
Yeah. So give blood, like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you at the next time when it's something.
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1.
Minus 1. We need to think of something else that's not going to work forever.
I don't know what it is, though. That's it.
All right, hell yeah. That was tight. I think that was good.
Oh, goodness.